Hello and welcome to Bud's RPG Review, where I give my thoughts on role-playing games, card games and board games. Today's review is Battlelords of the 23rd Century by 23rd Century Productions, Part 1. Okay, first a bit of history. Battlelords of the 23rd Century is the 7th edition of a game that I was surprised to discover goes back 30 years. The first edition was released in 1990 by Optimus Design Systems and was 200 pages in length. The second edition was also released in 1990 and was followed by the third edition in 1991, a fourth edition in 1992, and a fifth edition in 1993. There was a hiatus of 7 years before 6th edition in the year 2000, and then a full 19 years passed before the release of 7th edition in 2019. This one is known as either the Revised Edition or the Kickstarted Edition, and is a 544-page full-colour hardback book that is also available as a PDF. In this video I'll be covering the first two chapters, Game Overview and Species Guide. To the cover. Here we have a pretty decent piece by Kiki K.K. Kernia, which shows an actual Battlelord identifiable by the demon skull mark on their shoulder. Right, to the inside. Here we have what appears to be a strange decision in putting one half of a panoramic piece of art on the first page, but not extending it to the opposite page, instead making it extend to the back of the book. Once we get past the credits, Kickstarter backers and a table of contents, we get to Chapter 1, Game Overview. Battlelords is described as a futuristic role-playing game that is designed to simulate the life of explorers and warriors in a not-too-distant future. The system has been designed to accommodate role-playing and action combat. This book contains a complete history of events that lead up to the current year, as well as the viewpoints of all of the member species of the Galactic Alliance. We then go into the age-old what is role-playing question, and we discover that all manner of dice are used in this game. We then go into the Battlelords universe. The setting takes place in 2282, and players are members of the Galactic Alliance, an organisation that spreads across the Milky Way and is made up of over a dozen species that includes humans. They pool their resources to expand the Alliance, protect their citizens, and fight off a variety of threats. It lists the species that are in the Alliance here, but rather than read them out, I'll be going into each one of them individually, but it's safe to say that the member species don't all like each other for a variety of reasons, and it is a challenge for the players to get past any intrinsic dislikes their species may have in order to achieve their goals. The Alliance is a bureaucracy of immense size, and as such, everyone has a rank, and there's an acronym for everything due to one of the species, the Eridani, pervading this. Megacorps run everything, and often outlive governments due to the fact that they own almost everything that is ownable. Basically, if you're not working for a government or are self-employed, you work for a megacorp. In Battlelords, the possibilities of what you can do are almost limitless. Shifting to the current time, the year 2282, it has been almost 150 years since the Muzakins and their alliance showed humanity the secrets of faster-than-light travel, and as a result it is spread out across the universe. It is an age of miracles and wonder, and humanity has grown to take it completely for granted. Making a living on the frontier world has stopped humans from appreciating how this technology has improved their lives. They live on hundreds of planets and interact with alien species routinely now that the barriers of language or cultural misunderstandings are not even a concern. The technology is so far beyond what humans are used to that humanity's brightest minds had to be reschooled in order to have a basic understanding of it, and yet it has now become mundane, no more impressive than air travel or microchips. The next question posed is thus: what is a Battlelord? The answer is that they are celebrities and almost king-like in stature. Everyone wants to be one. It is an honorary rank in the Galactic Armed Forces that exists outside the usual chain of command, that is only afforded to the most loyal and capable people in the Alliance. They are proven warriors and wily veterans who can win against overwhelming odds. They are elite tacticians who can act effectively and decisively without a moment's hesitation. They're almost always outnumbered and almost always prevail. They are charged with defending their assigned region of Alliance space against all threats, and they are easily identifiable by the demon skull logo on their armour. It goes briefly into the de-automization of the Alliance military, i.e. the reason for Battlelords to exist, and then it goes into some mysteries and notable personalities, and then we move into 4 pages of the Battlelords timeline, and then on to Chapter 2, the Species Guide. Now, this section is far too densely packed with information for me to tell you every detail, but I'll give you an overview. The first up is the Battlelords, or as they are known among the Alliance, asparagus heads. It's worth pointing out that this picture here is not one of their species, which threw me a bit at first. The Battlelords are smaller than humans and have skin that is a greenish-blue colour with long, thin bodies. They have 3-fingered hands and are herbivores with flat, grinding teeth. They are from the planet Chattel, are primarily grassy planets covered in hurricane-strength winds. As a result, they live beneath the Earth using a domesticated creature called a Travox to create their vast underground cities. They share their homes with huge six-legged burrowing creatures and use them as mounts. They are the second oldest species in the Alliance and use telepathy to communicate, having also developed empathic abilities in recent memory. These abilities are known as the Power amongst the Chitalians. Gives us the stats for them in-game and goes into their history up until joining the Alliance. It talks about their close-knit, open society that is rigidly structured. Intelligence and empathic abilities are extremely valued, and service to Chattel is considered the highest honour. Due to the minds of other species being like open books to them, they prefer to socialise with their own kind, as the random thought process of non-Chitalians gives them a headache. They have no spoken language, and their written language is mathematically grounded, although communication via artistic expression is also viable. The next up is the Scissorak, nicknamed the Cat by humans, though physically they more closely resemble hyena in shape, with large arched backs and shorter back legs. They are physically the most dangerous of the Alliance species. They are every bit the predator and walk primarily on 4 legs, but can walk on 2, and each foot has retractable cat-like claws. Their tail is used as a counterbalance, and they are exceptional at jumping and pouncing. Females are larger than males, and both genders are meticulous in their hygiene. They're carnivores who come from the world of Kashulis, a place of varying terrains, from steaming jungles to snowy mountains. They do not live in cities, instead preferring to hunt as packs, and they are fond of the wind and rain upon their fur. Their technological revolution happened over a 1,000-year period, and at around 1600 BCE they conquered their solar system and have in recent memory waged war with another of the Alliance species, the Pythons. They're social creatures, and males are not even considered second class in their society, and were originally kept as slaves before they joined the Alliance. They have a caste-based matriarchal leadership. After this we have the Eridani. These are tall, muscular humanoids with 2 arms and 2 legs and 3 fingers and toes on each appendage. They developed in a sub-zero environment with a methane atmosphere, which has made them highly resistant to cold and given them skin the colour of snow. They have their hair worn in a mohawk style and are adapted with large feet to walk on snow. They have a warrior caste called the Sword Saints, who shave the sides of their head to emphasise the look. Their eyes have 2 sets of eyelids to protect them from blinding cold, and their nose is merely a slit opening on their face. They have no teeth, instead secreting a crystalline substance that acts as teeth. Male and female in the society are of absolute equal standing, and look so similar non-Eridani have difficulty telling them apart. Their history is one of conquest and conflict, something they call the true rapture of holy battle, and they subjugated those species they found useful and killed those that weren't. They've waged war with the Fentari, another of the Alliance races, who attacked their homeworld, killing millions, only being spared extinction by the Alliance who intervened. It is a grudge that is still held by the Eridani Sword Saints against the Fentari to this very day, and only their oath to protect the Alliance is stronger than their need for vengeance. These days they are the backbone of the Alliance military, holding many command positions, with many of the ranks and traditions stemming from Eridani tradition. Indeed, the idea of a Battlelord is of Eridani convention. Their society is patriarchal or matriarchal, and they have a feudal system of extended family. They have a caste system, the Vax or warriors, the Talud are business and administration, and the Madig are outcasts, and there are strict rules about who the different castes can socialise with. It's a very intricate and involved system that even dictates things like hair colours and the like. They follow a code known as the Path of Truth, which is one of sacrificing emotion for self-control. Next we have the Fot. These are a synthetic, intelligent life form that were created as a cosmic joke in order to annoy the Alliance. They have both rabbit and human DNA, and physically look like rabbit people. They require twice as much food as humans due to their high metabolism. They live in communes that are hodgepodges of whatever junk they can find, and they are despised by most of the other Alliance species due to their creator, Uncle Ernie Freilberg, making them in order to be a burden on the Alliance, as they fit all the criteria as a sentient race for membership. They're just as equally dismissive of the Alliance and their creator, and they just want to be left alone. Their social structure is genetically imprinted upon them, and they feel loyalty to their clan and family, though many in the Alliance claim that they have every negative trait that humans possess, as they are aggressive, rude, have no social graces, are reckless, obnoxious and lazy, and seem to enjoy their perceived burden on the Alliance. Next we have humans and gen-humans. Humans are pretty much what you would understand. They came to be aware of the Alliance at the apex of World War III, at the moment ICBMs had been launched. A signal from space was received by the remaining governments that said, "No more nuclear weapons. We will only deal with one Earth government. Sort it out as we will be back in 100 of your years." When the missiles hit, there were no blasts and all radioactive contamination was gone. Following this, alliances were renewed, and over the next 75 years the United Nations built up an impressive coalition, with Russia and China resisting but eventually being brought to heel. In the year 2134, an incoming alien ship arrived and broadcast that it would address the Earth and UN. Earth was caught off guard when the seven-fingered Orions appeared in kilts, bagpipes and bad Scottish accents. The Muzakin warned humanity that war was coming in the form of an alien species called the Aknar Rin, telling humanity that they had formed an alliance of similar-minded species to fight them. Humanity was given two offers that they essentially could not refuse, the first being a way off the planet to avoid the entire species being wiped out should the Aknar Rin find Earth, and the second was an offer to join the alliance to fight them with all of the benefits that their technology could be brought to bear being accessible. Once humanity joined the alliance, the population exploded to 10 times that of the closest other species, with there now being more human colony worlds than any other race. Gen humans are referred to as the next step in human evolution. Humans were cloned and turned into all manner of useful lab-grown entities, from super soldiers to pleasure units. Time has proven them to be superior to their human creators, and 2113 they were given the same right as biological humans that caused anti-sentiment to spill out over the next 7 years, until in 2120 the UN created the genetics laws which stated that no more than 15% of the human population could be gen human. Since that time, gens have risen in power and influence on Earth, and now outnumber humans in authoritative positions. In most other ways, humans and gen humans have pretty much the same behaviours and the like as humans now. It gives us 2 full pages of 100 genetic enhancements, and then we move on to the Keen. The Keen are a species that are quasi-amphibious, arboreal and highly intelligent that live in tropical rainforests on their world of Muspelheim. Short and light, they have 4 arms and 2 legs that are strong enough to launch them into the air. Under their arms they have a gliding membrane for moving among treetops. They're known as bat frogs by humanity, and they have a form of echolocation like bats. Their hearing is incredibly sensitive, and they secrete a slime that keeps them moist and healthy that has photoreceptors and chromatophores, allowing them to blend into their surroundings. Their skin is the same, and they can coat items with the slime to confer camouflage upon it. They prefer a warm, humid environment, and cold weather slows them down. Until the Muzakin arrived, they were a race of hunter-gatherers and farmers, though their ability to hide hid them from early scientific surveys of the planet. The Muzakins constructed colonies on the cooler parts of their planet, and it was only visiting Chitalians that sensed them, sending a contact to them, seeing their potential for espionage. With that contact, the Keen were thrust into the space age and are valued in the Alliance for their skills and intelligence. As a race, they prefer solitude over groups, and their cities resemble aviaries. They are often employed as engineers and perhaps surprisingly singers due to their small stature, solitary nature and ability to find faults via echolocation. As singers, they have perfect pitch and song-like voices. Their language is inaudible to almost all Orion species due to the sound being beyond normal hearing range. The Keen rely on their sonar-like abilities as their sight is not very good. After this we have the Marsians. These are amphibious blob-like creatures from the planet Karas. They can change shape, colour and even density, giving them unparalleled camouflage. They're highly intelligent and can mimic objects reasonably well, though if they engulf an object they can recreate a perfect double. They can even copy scents, textures, and even internal organs, allowing them to replicate a person almost perfectly. Each cell in their bodies are separate and self-sustaining entities that communicate and work together in perfect symbiosis. Each cell is essentially an eye, allowing them to see everything nearby, though this sight is short range, and they rely more on vibrations to understand their environment. They can also harden their surface against attacks and ooze away from incoming blows. Their manual dexterity is also incredible, as they can form multiple pseudopods to manipulate controls and wield multiple weapons simultaneously. As a race, they never had any technological development due to being actually unable to see the stars in the sky, and had never waged war against any other species before joining the Alliance. They were discovered in 1011 by the Scissorak, who landed on their planet in order to claim it, oblivious to its native species. The two species developed a strong, friendly bond, and the Scissorak helped them by providing technology. They would go out of their way to avoid the Chitalians due to their empathic ability to locate them and their use of sonic attacks. Since they joined the Alliance, they have flourished, being in demand by industries that manufacture micromechanical devices. They are prized in the military, even though they are non-aggressive by nature due to their superior infiltration skills. They consider all other Masians as kin and are genetically wired to help each other. This behaviour means that they tend to have no regard for social status, though in and of themselves they are very social beings. They communicate with each other by intertwining together and pulsing rhythmically, with this greeting sometimes lasting up to 3 days. They can speak whatever languages they learn by simply creating working vocal cords. They're the only Alliance species that can hear and speak to the Keen. Their language consists of thumps, pops and whistles, though this is often beyond the hearing capabilities of other species to learn. They don't have a written language and have practically no government, having no desire to wield power or dominate others, having a very live and let live attitude. Next up is the Muzakin. They are bipedal humans with large bulbous heads and egg-shaped eyes, with a thin neck. They have no teeth and don't secrete solids. Their nose is flush to their heads, and they have ear openings on the side of their heads. They have thin arms and are completely hairless. Each hand has 4 fingers, and they have thick legs. Their coloration varies from lime green to blue, and their skin mottles with age. They have the ability to store and manipulate energy, allowing them to create matrices, and they can drain energy from uninsulated devices just by touching them. They tend to live in a sterilised environment due to the radiation on their homeworld, Trishmag. They don't eat, gaining sustenance from the environment and electrical sources. They do drink, however, and can drink water, but prefer high-carbon molecule drinks like benzene, gasoline and turpentine, which they find intoxicating. They also enjoy drinking irradiated nuclear wastewater. Their homes are masterpieces of technology and art, with them preferring geometric shapes rather than organic ones, as several generations tend to live in their huge abodes. Due to the conditions on their homeworld, they're immune to all but the highest levels of radiation. Once per month they need to isolate and drain their blood to remove waste products as they have no kidneys, replacing it with newly created blood. They use a leech-like creature called a reed worm that digests poisons and waste that would kill a Muzakin. They are considered an ancient species, though they are few in number, and their history is 400,000 years BCE, with records suggesting that they developed space travel around 110,000 years BCE. They have a very dry history, with only a plague and the planning of the Alliance standing out as important events. Their society is ruled by an oligarchy called the Vision of 8. These individuals make all the decisions for the Muzakin people. They feel it is their duty to guide other species in the right direction, choosing to do so because they feel that they can see the long game. It also gives some information on the Muzakin's ability to create matrices, including all pertinent game stats. After this we have the Orions. They have a similar form to humans with 7 fingers and toes, and pointy elfin ears. Everything else, including skin, hair and eye colour, vary wildly, and there is no normal. They also have multiple double internal organs such as heart and lungs. They are masters of cosmetic surgery, which starts in the womb. Everything, including bone shape, hair pattern and even tattoos, can be modified in utero based on whatever the Orion parents feel will be in line with Orion society when the child has grown up. They have a tendency to tag along with styles from other species, considering it the highest form of flattery, with the Scottish clansman look being one that they copied from ancient Earth. They can be found in any urban environment and live their life for the next party, seeing it as appreciating the fleeting nature of things. They have a completely hedonistic lifestyle, and their culture is a melting pot of everything and anything. They're generally friendly and inquisitive and enjoy conversing with foreigners. On their homeworld of Teos, they are free to do whatever they please as long as it doesn't infringe on the rights of others. In the Alliance, they act as peacekeepers and deal brokers, with Teos 4 being one of the main trade centres in the galaxy. They developed space travel in 2403 BCE with the help of the Fentari, who stumbled upon them while on a hunting party. The Orion's natural appearance was enough to convince the Fentari to not eat them, and after a few days they began copying the look of the Fentari. The Fentari took a shine to the Orions and provided them with technology that would help them spread through their cluster. They formed a pact in 1770 BCE to be military allies against the Eridani, pre all 3 races being a part of the Alliance. The Orions took immediate fascination with human culture, more specifically Scottish tartan, and some have even taken up clan names. As a species, they are fashion divas and have an almost religious devotion. Their life revolves around cosmetic surgery, clothing and partying, with social standing rising and falling depending on your look. This society is run by syndicates, providing everything for the people if they cooperate, with there being a gang culture that provides manpower for the syndicates. Those with no syndicate or gang affiliation are known as the Forlorn, and they often join the Alliance military, government or megacorps. Their government is a syndicracy. Their species have not much in the way of desire to subjugate others, but they do search for resources in the next wild party. Next up is the Fentari. They are hexapods, with 2 arms, 2 legs and 2 tentacles. The tentacles can operate independently of each other, making them particularly deadly in melee. Only their spine is made of bone, with cartilage making up the rest of their internal structure. They have large eyes on either side of their head, providing them with 360-degree binocular vision, and they can focus each eye independently. Their mouth has 2 large mandibles that stab their prey while their serrated teeth cut through flesh, and they also have a prehensile tongue, and their skin is a deep purple coloration, being tough, rubbery and slimy. They're carnivores that prefer their meat alive and kicking, and are notorious for claiming that their favourite meal is human, though this has never been proven to be categorically true. Some observe that they tend to say this to make humans feel uncomfortable. Due to the sub-zero temperatures of their homeworld, they need to wear an environment suit or have it built into their armour. Their homeworld of Fenna is considered an icy hell by other Alliance species. Their society is the only one to have successfully run under a cratocracy, one where power is obtained with lies, deception, cunning and social coercion. As you may imagine of a species that conducts itself in this manner, their spread through space meant a great deal of conflict with other species, most particularly the Eridani. They are narcissists of the highest order who will lie and cheat at will to get what they want, and when communicating electronically, they tend to only use voice due to their ability to easily recognise allies. Some of the Alliance find this disturbing or disrespectful, often citing that they can't see if they're lying when they can't see them, to which the Fentari reply with, "Why would you ever assume I'm not lying to you?" They are utterly convinced of their own superiority and are ruthless and cunning. The next species are the Pythonians. There are two distinct varieties of Pythonian. The bigger terrestrial ones known as the ram pythons, or most commonly rams, and the smaller, smarter python lizards who are aquatic. The python lizards are large humanoid reptile people with 2 arms and legs and a tail. They have 3 fingers on each hand that are shaped like talons and have feet like a bird. The ram is normally bigger and stronger, and they also have a tail. Python lizards have faces akin to an alligator, with their teeth outside their jawline, whereas the rams have a much smaller snout and a human-esque nose with razor-sharp teeth. Pythonians have a ridge of spines down their back, with the rams having them also on their forehead and on the tip of their tail. Their colorization varies, with the python lizards taking on the colour of the sandy bottom of clear water, which shifts to dark grey or black if they lived in a swamp. Rams that live in a desert would take on a sandy colour in a jungle green, or on a starship a whitish grey. Pythonians are able to sense vibrations through the ground, which enables them to track prey, and even the bigger rams can be quiet when they try. Both species are carnivores, with python lizards preferring seafood and rams eating whatever they can catch. Their homeworld, Pythos, is covered in connected rivers, lakes and seas surrounded by jungles, deserts and plains, and their gravity is 1.2 times stronger than Earth. Python lizards lead a solitary life near the water, whereas rams prefer a cooler, terrestrial environment in groups. The two species have always been at war with one another, with there being 3 civil wars since they joined the alliance. The rams also started a war with the Scissorak that lasted 100 years. After they joined the alliance and realised the Scissorak were also members, it was only the diplomacy of the Chitalians that kept them from outright war. After joining, they took the role of frontline warriors, and their bravery is unquestionable, even by races that do not like them, like the Scissorak and the Eridani. Indeed, the rams have been inducted into the Legion of Honour more than any other species, and they revel in their role as protectors of the alliance. The species has multiple gods for things like the sea, the sky, strength, speed and the like, and though they pray to these gods, they expect little in return. Politically, they have a clan-like structure, based not just on strength but also loyalty. Rams determine leadership based on the strongest, but also who can control the most territory and people. Python lizards will cooperate with other clans as long as borders are respected. The next species discussed is the razat. They are a humanoid-shaped insect species that have 4 limbs and a set of wings that fold away. Their hands vaguely resemble a robotic claw, and each limb in their hand can rotate 180 degrees, allowing them to hang from ceilings. They rarely walk, preferring to fly in short bursts. They have no nose or ears, and the area beneath their chin is covered with long tendrils that cover their mouth. These are sensory organs that detect smell and sound outside the human range. Their mouth is triangular and opens outwards. They have wide compound eyes that vary in colour. Their body has 3 segments, a head, a thorax and an abdomen, and have chitin instead of skin similar to a shrimp. They can digest any organic matter, including wood, paper and kerosene, and they also eat their dead. Motor oil gets them drunk. They are indigenous to the planet Clizet, one of the most hostile life-bearing planets in the galaxy, where living is a short, brutal struggle. The lack of natural resources slowed the species' development to space travel, and as such they are masters of recycling and reusing almost at a religious level. An unknown alien species invaded their planet early on in their space development and tried to wipe them out, nuking them into oblivion. However, the Razat managed to defeat them, and to this day do not allow other species onto their homeworld. In all, it is a miracle that the species has survived and thrived the way it has, and when they finally left their planet, they spread rapidly throughout the galaxy in search of resources. They're pragmatic to the extreme, and are content with simply surviving and not living in fear. They've lived the last 280 years in isolation after nearly being wiped out by alien invaders, and have a sense of kinship with each other. They have a democratic technocracy, and they place great value on learning, scientific growth, the government and the military. To serve their species is the highest honour a Razat can achieve. They are sought after as engineers, repair techs and mechanics throughout the Alliance. They have a very hands-on learning belief, and education is free and for everyone, and they learn their trades in an almost reverential manner. They are masters of material science and are able to produce incredible feats of improvisation with the barest materials. They have little in the way of cares for regulation on things like transportation and energy creation and storage, or indeed, safety. As long as nobody is killed, nobody cares. They love visiting scrapyards and Alliance worlds in order to find items to repair. The final race detailed are the Zen. The Zen, or Zen Rigelian species, are tall, gaunt humanoids with spindly hands and feet with large egg-shaped heads, and their faces are devoid of lips, nostrils and eyelids. Their skin has the look of aged parchment and can be yellow or ash-coloured, and they're completely hairless and skeletal. Their scary appearance is made worse by the smell they emit, that of something that is decayed in a dry environment, and their voices have been compared to a slow cold wind, and they are considered by most alliance species as being creepy. This outward appearance belies their actual nature. They are caring pacifists who are the most renowned healers. They are vegans that go to the extreme length of removing any genetic chance of the possibility of sentience, pain or suffering from even their vegetable foods. They prefer urban environments with large peaceful gardens, and their homes always have a shrine to Asiza, the Zen who started them on the path to pacifism. Their history is one of the most violent and destructive in the Alliance, and they were renowned for their biological attacks and war machines. Asiza put them on the righteous path in 2720 BCE. Wars ended with the realisation that all life is precious and should be cherished. The Zen left behind greed and war and set about healing their planet, and most of the Zen Rigelian have embraced this way of life. Those who disagree were ostracised, and anything other than total pacifism is anathema to the Zen. These are termed the Zazen, and even those who just happen to disagree with the dogmatic beliefs attributed to the Rigelian are lumped together with all manner of sadists and murderers. These people are hunted and re-educated. To the Zen Rigelian, the idea of family is of utter importance, though they see duty and responsibility as more important than love. The Zen vote in a complete democracy with every decision being made by the popular vote on a daily basis, and those that vote all the time have increased social standing. Indeed, their clothing is strictly coded with stripes in order to show their job, their power level and their social standing. They dogmatically follow the teachings of Asiza, and they will not kill even in defence of their own lives. Zen Rigelian medics enter the battle with no weaponry, even keeping the enemy alive if they can. They despise the Alliance for engaging in war, and only stay there in order to teach them the error of their ways. As a species, they're extremely proud of their civilization. Obviously, they're extremely sought after in the Alliance for their incredible medical technology, and their ability as matrix controllers allows them to regrow limbs, cure diseases, and even clone those beyond repair. The truly evil Zazen have equally impressive abilities that can liquefy tissue with a touch, disembowel with a thought, and conduct all manner of horrifying injuries without breaking a sweat. Okay, that concludes part 1. Part 2 in this series will continue with chapter 3. Character creation.